Jerry Brown here with Jerry Brown Travels.
Laurie here. COVID-19 come to Chapala right now. So Jerry have 12 reasons to tell you why not to come to visit Ajijic and Lakeside Chapala right now.
Yeah. Well, the country is opening up and people are so excited about that. But we're going to tell you our reasons that we're not going to get excited about that and what's going on down here and as we see it here in Mexico. Today, I went out and I interviewed 2 doctors and I wanted to get their input on what they would say to somebody who asked them what would they recommend somebody coming into Mexico and what would be their response. What we're going to talk about is the state of Jalisco. That's everything in the white here. Here's Guadalajara, and over here on the Pacific coast is Puerto Vallarta. So in the Guadalajara, it is actually the second largest city in Mexico. And also it has 1/3 of the largest outbreaks within Mexico. So this is a very high area with outbreaks of the coronavirus. Now over here in Puerto Vallarta, we're looking at 388 confirmed cases and 36 confirmed deaths in this area here. So now as we creep down in this area, what's happened is 2 weeks ago, we only had 2 outbreaks. And then now we have 40 that runs along this side of the lake. It's about a 20-mile stretch along here. Now we're starting to see the virus. One of the things that they're doing, this road coming down, they have a roadblock, and coming around this way, they have another roadblock. And what they're doing is they're stopping the people from Guadalajara to come into this area. So they ask them if they have any identification or any reason for being here. And they're actually turned around and sent away. That's been good. But unfortunately, now the virus has creeped into this area here. So that's the update we have going right now. And with the percentages it's growing quite rapidly. The first doctor, he recommended not to come into Mexico. And he gave the reason that the medical care here in Mexico is not as high a standard as maybe you're used to in your country. Let's say in the United States, or let's say Canada. And so he says there's a minimal amount of beds that are here now also. And so he recommends be close to a better medical care than you would get down here. The second doctor, he recommended similar, not to travel anywhere in the world. So he gave an interesting hypothetical. He says, well, what if you come down and you're in a hotel, you're in a resort, Airbnb, whatever it is, and you get the virus, okay? Now, are you going to have to quarantine yourself in that room for 2 weeks, 14 days? How are you going to get your medical care? You don't know about doctors and that down here. And so he cautions people. Also, are you going to have to pay for that room for the 14 days? Well, as we say, the country is opening up. But the governor of Jalisco, he has said that there's actually 2 pandemics. There's the pandemic of the coronavirus, and also there's a pandemic of the economy, of people being out of work, and the seriousness of that. Right now in this area here, because it's been closed down for 3 months, and there's been over 150,000 jobs lost in that time. The people are very poor here. They need to work. So it's forced the Mexican government and also the governor of Jalisco to open up the country. And the thing is that he says it's really a little too early to open up the country, but he doesn't have much choice because the people need to get back to work. You know, they're starving. They need the money. There's no doubt about it. He says that he's forced to open up the Jalisco area because the people are hungry. They're thirsty. But the pandemic is still here. The virus is still here. It hasn't gone away. No, it's still alive and well here. Okay, let me show you this little diagram that I came up with. And this, I feel, is a real simple way of explaining it. Think about a thermometer. And so over here we have 0 degrees, and then we get into maybe 30 degrees and 40 degrees. And then as we creep in, we get into 100 degrees. And let's say that's the peak. Then as the afternoon goes along, we get into a little bit cooler. It maybe be 3 o'clock, starts to cool down, and then later it starts to cool down. And so in the evening, it gets down. Well, what they did is they predicted that the virus was going to hit its peak in June. And so what they've done is they reopened the country, thinking that that was the case. But unfortunately, what happened was in July is now when they're predicting it to be the peak of it. So in a way, they've prematurely opened up the country. And so we're going to see how that is affected with the spread of the virus.
Danke. If you have to go, come right back.
It has a notice out there that there's a level 4 healthcare warning for United States citizen not to travel internationally because they're recommending that it's not safe. So if you feel safe about getting on an international flight and traveling, that's a choice you can make. One of the other things that both doctors recommend is that if you come in here is take a 2-week quarantine period. Isolate yourself for 2 weeks. And that's very difficult, especially if you're only coming for 2 weeks. You're not going to do that. So the tendency is to want to go out. And so be careful with that. Only you can decide if you want to travel, if you want to fly international and you feel comfortable with that. If you decide to travel, what we recommend and something we do, we get travel insurance. We get one policy that is medical. We get it for $150,000, and that covers if we're getting in an emergency or we need to go have a doctor's, emergency situation, we can go there. Other thing we get is we get another policy, emergency evacuation. This way we can be evac out of the country and we can get to maybe where our doctors are, where we feel more comfortable around the doctors in the hospitals that we would like to be. So by having those two in place, it's a great assurance that you're taken care of. Also, get another policy, which is going to be for your travel insurance with your luggage, your airline reservations, your hotel reservations.
Please subscribe, thumb up, and comment.
Now familiarize yourself with travel restrictions, okay? As an example, for let's say like hotels and your airplane flights, what is their cancellation policy? What is a rebooking policy? What is a refund policy? Get clear on that. And okay, you've decided to come down, you decided to travel anywhere in the world. Well, remember, because things are just opening up, there's going to be a lot of facilities that aren't going to be open completely. So restaurants and things like activities and those things are not going to be open. Remember also, in the occupancy on hotels and that, they're keeping it down to like 25% to 30%. So they're not going to be booked 100%. They're going to cut it back. In hotels, are you going to have to wear a mask? Are you going to, are the people that are working in the restaurant, are they going to be washing their hands? Are they going to be using hand sanitizer? Are they going to be cleaning the tables? What are some of the things that they're going to have in place to make it safe? Let's say you're congregating, you come in, and you come up to the front desk and there's a group of people ahead of you that are coming in, everybody's excited, and they start talking, like you do in those things. Where are you from? What about, are they going to make them wear their mask? Are you going to wear your mask? I don't know if this is true, but I just heard this today, that actually other parts of Mexico, the beaches are opening up, but in Puerto Vallarta, in the state of Jalisco, they're not going to open up the beaches. That's one of the things the governor also mentioned, is that they can put these restrictions in place, but they don't have the manpower or the money to police it. So they're counting on the restaurants and the hotels and even you to, take care of yourself and for them to take care of it, but they can't regulate it. So that, remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, you know. So whatever I say in this video, verify it. Verify it with other sources. Never rely on one person, you know, as the authority. So please check it out.
We're not done yet.
Somebody asked me recently, they said, Jerry, what are you and Lori going to be doing? What's your travel plans? How safe do you feel it is out in the world? So what we're going to do is we're waiting 12 months. We're not going to book anything. Even with this thing opening right now, we're not going to go to any other parts of Mexico. We're staying at home. We're protecting ourselves at home. We're self-quarantining ourselves. And it may be a year that we're going to keep this program going because we know we're safe. We have a great routine. And so we don't want to risk, you know, getting sick and, you know, possibly, you know, dying. You know, we don't want to risk that. So we're going to stay at home. So that's what we're doing. So one of the things that we're starting through this time of the pandemic and people in such need of foods and care and medical care and everything, that what we've started a program, we have a platform, it's called Patreon. And what we're going to do is that any money that comes in, we're going to match it $1 for $1. So if you feel you would like to give through our Patreon account, there's a listing down below, a link down below. But remember, this is just a suggestion. This is what we're going to do. If you don't feel comfortable with that, don't worry about giving anything. There's no pressure on that. You got to feel comfortable on what you would like to do. You give us $5, we're going to match it with 5. You give us $10, we're going to match it with 10. And so we're going to give that money away to food banks. We're going to give it away to like orphanages and people who need the money down here directly. So it's a way of you participating in giving back to the community along with us. So come along with us and subscribe. And don't forget, turn on your notifications. Give us a comment. Tell us what you think. And also, how about a thumbs up and a like? We would appreciate that.